स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय, भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय, शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय, स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय, स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय, स्वामी प्रबुदानंद भगवान की जय, माता पिता की जय, सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय, सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता chapter 6 and verse number 17. Chapter 6 we have studied about Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan is for meditation. Dhyan Yoga is for the one who follows the life of discipline. In verse number 17, Bhagavan explains, Dhyan Yoga is for the one who follows the life of discipline. ध्यान योग उसके लिए है जो अपनी लाइफ अपने जीवन को संयम पूर्ण डिसिप्लिन से फॉलो करता हो। और वर्स नंबर 16 में हम पहले रिसाइट करेंगे, पढ़ेंगे वर्स नंबर 16 को। वर्स नंबर 17, युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मेषु युक्त स्वप्नावबोधस्य योग भवति दुःखः। युक्त आहार विहारस्य, for one who is moderate in eating and other activities, जो अपने खान पान का और अन्य एक्टिविटीज का ध्यान रखता है। ना ज़्यादा खाना है ना कम खाना है, ना ज़्यादा सोना है ना कम सोना है। कर्मेषु विद रेफरेंस टू द वंस ड्यूटी, अपनी ड्यूटीज के प्रति। युक्त चेतस्य, फॉर वन हु इज माइंडफुल इन ऑल एक्टिविटीज। युक्त स्वप्न अवबोधस्य, for one who is moderate in terms of sleeping and waking hours. Dukkhana, the destroyer of sorrow. Yoga, meditation. Bhavati, becomes. For one who is moderate in eating and other activities, who is mindful of all activities and one's sleeping and waking hours, for such a person, meditation becomes destroyer of sorrow. जो पुरुष अपने खान पान का और अन्य एक्टिविटीज का ध्यान रखता है, अपने बुद्धि से ध्यान रखता है, अपने सोने जागने का ध्यान रखता है, उस पुरुष के लिए मेडिटेशन सभी शोक का विनाशक बन जाता है। Again in this verse, name the person and describes the qualification required for meditation in the same compound. Yukta here means proper, in terms of having a sense of portion in all one's activity. The person is described as Yukta Ahara Vihara, one whose eating and other activities are proper. Yukta Cheshtha, one whose activities are proper. And Yukta Swapna Avabodha, one whose sleeping and waking hours are properly appropriated. In other words, this person follows a life of discipline, which is itself is a yoga that destroys the sorrow of sansara. Yoga bhavati dukkhana. The person, जो पुरुष अपने जीवन को, दैनिक कार्य को संतुलित तरीके से करता है, वो योग द्वारा दुखों को नष्ट कर लेता है. In his commentary to this verse, Shankara explains the compound Yukta Ahara Vihara. He says anything taken in by you is called ahara. जो भी आप लेते हैं, खाने का मतलब यहाँ पर सिर्फ भोजन से नहीं है, भोजन खाना से मतलब नहीं है. डिसिप्लिन का मतलब किसी से कुछ लेना देना, किसी के लिए कुछ करना. सोने का मतलब सिर्फ सोने से नहीं है. यहाँ पर जो भगवान कहते हैं ना, युक्त आहार विहार, युक्त आहार का मतलब सिर्फ भोजन से नहीं है. जो आहार हम ग्रहण करते हैं, हम जो भी चीज ग्रहण करते हैं, भगवान शंकराचार्य जी कहते हैं, शंकराचार्य जी एक्सप्लेन्स द कंपाउंड युक्त आहार विहार. ही सेज एनीथिंग टेकन इन बाय यू, एनीथिंग, कुछ भी जो आप लेते हैं इज कॉल्ड आहार. अरिहत इति आहार, which is present in present context means food, अन्ना, सबसे पहले खाना. Vihara, reference to your moving around in terms of activities like walking, running and so on. Therefore, the person for whom both of these ahara and vihara are proper, meaning that they are done with the proper sense of proportion, is called yukta ahara vihara. In other words, they are not allowed to become obsession, which is always possible, especially in terms of food. खाने के अंदर अक्सर लोग जो है वो बह जाते हैं. लोगों की बुद्धि जो है स्वादिष्ट भोजन के प्रति बह जाती है. तो ये बुद्धि बहनी नहीं चाहिए. अगर कोई चीज खानी है तो ये समझना है कि खानी किस लिए है. खाना जो है वो इस शरीर के निर्वाह के लिए है. फूड इज फॉर maintenance of this body, and this body is for attaining knowledge. और ये शरीर हमें प्राप्त हुआ है ज्ञान प्राप्ति के लिए. जो मनुष्य ज्ञान के लिए इस शरीर का इस्तेमाल नहीं करते, वो अन्य जानवरों के माफिक अपने जीवन का यापन कर रहे हैं. चाहे वो हजारों करोड़ों अरबों खरबों की दौलत कमा लें, चाहे वो प्रधानमंत्री बन जाएं, चाहे वो अमेरिका के प्रेसिडेंट बन जाएं, या वो कोई देवता भी बन जाएं, पर अगर वो मनुष्य शरीर का इस्तेमाल ज्ञान प्राप्ति के लिए नहीं करते, तो उनका ये शरीर प्राप्त करने का उद्देश्य खत्म हो गया. स्पिरिचुअल ऑब्सेशन, spending your whole time in planning meals, for example, is definitely an obsession. Ahara, food can take up your entire life. It can become a religion for many people, whereas for others, some form of exercise becomes a religion. You may eat only junk food and be obsessed with getting it out of your system by doing aerobics for hours every day. भोजन जो है वो आपका ऑब्सेशन नहीं बनना चाहिए. भोजन जो है वो आप कुछ खाना, कुछ प्राप्त करना आपके लिए एक शरीर के लिए प्राप्त करने, आपके लिए एक उद्देश्य नहीं बनना चाहिए. भयंकर उद्देश्य नहीं बनना चाहिए. पहले आप ज्यादा खाएंगे, फिर आप उसको पचाएंगे, इसी प्रकार आप सारा समय खाने में व्यर्थ कर देंगे. In this way, aerobics to become a religion. Whole lifetimes are spent exercising for what? There are people who exercise so much and are so tired afterwards that all they do is eating and go to sleep, only to repeat the same cycle again and again the next day. No activity should be given this kind of time. किसी भी एक्टिविटी को इतना समय नहीं देना चाहिए. Therefore, Bhagavan says here, whatever the activity, it should be yukta. There should be a sense of proportion. Otherwise, ahara can get you and vihara can also get you. What you eat and how much you eat can become an obsession. And for a spiritual seeker, eating can become a spiritual obsession. Such a person thinks that eating properly is being spiritual, whereas in fact eating properly is matter of health, nothing else. A demon can eat properly and still accomplish all his demonic activity in disciplined way. A thief may follow a proper diet and exercise daily, but still continues to commit crimes. Therefore, yukta is very important. Word here means the one who has a sense of proportion in all things. One who is yukta cheshta. With reference to all activities, karma, shu, is one who does not waste his or her time fuming and fretting because there is lot to be done. यहाँ भगवान कहना चाहते हैं कि आप अपना समय खाने पीने, घूमने फिरने, चलने, एक्सरसाइज करने और इन सब में व्यर्थ बर्बाद न करें. सोना, उठना, बैठना, कमाना, किसके लिए कमाना, ये सोचने में अपने समय को बर्बाद न करें. This person performs each activity deliberately, consciously, one by one. In this way, everything gets done efficiently and in proper order. Cheshta refers to any movement, including those of hands and legs. The yukta cheshta, therefore, is also person who does not waste the movement of his or her limbs while performing activities. One needs a sense of proportion in one's activity. एक पुरुष को पता होना चाहिए कि कितनी एक्टिविटी. ज्ञान का मतलब है ये जानना कि कितनी एक्टिविटी की ज़रूरत है, कितने भोजन की ज़रूरत है, कितने सोने की ज़रूरत है, कितना कमाने की ज़रूरत है. ये ज्ञान है. ये पता होना कि कितना ज़रूरत है, ये ज्ञान है. You know what happened if you want to do too many things at the same time? The end result is that nothing gets done. You want to do particular thing and suddenly you remember something else. So you leave what you are doing and so go to the other activity. Then you remember something else and off you go again. Some people cannot even take bath without becoming distracted by other things they want to do at the same time. The people are ayukta cheshta. Ayukta cheshta माने बिना किसी कारण मेहनत करना. Whereas युक्त चेष्टा किसी लक्ष्य के प्रति मेहनत करना. Does each thing that is to be done deliberately and consciously. Even the hand movement of the person are done consciously. In fact, this is what the life of Zen master is all about. Watching his or her every movement, watching that hand are doing what his hands are doing, and where they go becomes a form of meditation for the person. However, You need not go that far. The point being that a sense of proportion in all activity is necessary so that nothing becomes obsession. खाना पीना, घूमना, चलना फिरना, सोना उठना, जागना, ये सब कुछ आपके ऑब्सेशन नहीं बनने चाहिए. ये सब ज्ञान के लिए कितनी जरूरत है उतनी ही एक्टिविटी करनी चाहिए. There is nothing to be gained from an obsession, but there is something to be gained from being conscious about what you do. What is gained in sense of alertness, yukta, means that you are conscious about what you do and you do what is to be done in the way there is an inner leisure that enables you to gain knowledge. Whatever you do is to be done to gain knowledge. One decides for oneself what is proper. The person discussed in this verse is also called Yukta. Yukta Swapna Avabodha, one from whom there is sense of proportion with reference to sleep, Swapna, and waking hours, Avabodha. Again, people do not ask me how many hours should you sleep. What is proper for one person is not proper for another, because the amount of sleep required depends on several factors, such as how many hours you slept as a child and your constitution. Sleep for as many hours as you require. The amount of time you sleep can be altered a little, perhaps by half an hour or 45 minutes. But changing the time you sleep by more than this is likely to affect your whole day. You will walk around like a zombie and be completely useless. You will walk, therefore follow what your constitution tells you. It knows what it needs and it tells you. And if it does not get enough sleep, it tells you that also. If for example you find yourself always feeling drowsy, this may indicate that you require more sleep. आपका शरीर आपको बताएगा कि आपको कितने आहार की ज़रूरत है, कितने सोने की ज़रूरत है, कितना जागने की ज़रूरत है. जब आपका शरीर थक जाएगा तो वो स्वयं सोने के लिए आपसे आग्रह करेगा. इसी प्रकार खाने पीने अन्य एक्टिविटीज़ के लिए. We must understand the word yukta. Yukta is used very cautiously here, because there is no set rules that applies to everyone all the time. Each person must decide for himself or herself. हर व्यक्ति को अपने आप के लिए डिसाइड करना है कि उसे कितने की जरूरत है. कोई दूसरा आके उसे नहीं बताएगा उसे कितने की जरूरत है. उसे खुद ये निर्णय लेना पड़ेगा कि उसे कितने की जरूरत है. It is not correct to assume that everyone should sleep for certain number of hours. There are people who require only 5 hours sleep and others who require 6, 7 or 8 hours. It all depends on the individual's constitution. Therefore, the person who has sense of proportion with reference of waking and sleep, Yukta Swapna Avabodha, there is yoga bhavati, the knowledge that destroys sorrow. ज्ञान ही शोक को मिटा सकता है. The knowledge that destroys the sorrow. And what kind of yoga is it? Knowledge alone. Sirf ज्ञान. The knowledge that destroys sorrow, dukkha, by shifting the entire vision of the people who is subject to sorrow. The shift in vision is in terms of self-understanding, self-knowing, seeing one's swarupa as free from sorrow. ये ज्ञान होना, ये दृष्टि होना, ये अपने स्वरूप का ज्ञान होना आपको शोक से मुक्त करता है. By negating the doership, the sorrow is taken care of. जब आप अपने कर्तापन से मुक्त होते हैं तो आप शोक से भी मुक्त होते हैं. Thus, the destruction of sorrow is purely in terms of knowledge, jnana, and this knowledge is called yoga here. In his commentary to the verse, Shankara emphasizes that dukkha refers to all kind of sorrows. Sarva samsara dukkha. You may say, Swamiji, my life is all right, but the people around me are a problem. It means that your life is not all right. Therefore, commit your life to pursuit of the knowledge that will destroy sorrow. Only knowledge destroys sorrow. सिर्फ ज्ञान ही शोक को खत्म कर सकता है. सेल्फ अपने आप को परमात्मा स्वरूप समझने से ही शोक का विनाश हो सकता है. Do not commit yourself to anything else. Do not overeat or undereating, sleeping too much or too little, or to exercising a lot or not at all. Only think of self Swarupa as Paramatma. One must have discipline in one's life, but in proper proportion. Yoga, asana and pranayam, for example, are useful because they are disciplines. But it does not mean that one should commit one's life solely in practice of yogasanas and pranayam. Nor does it mean that one should neglect such disciplines. In fact, a meditative life includes yogasana and pranayam. Every seeker follows certain discipline based on Ashtanga Yoga. The point being made here is that whatever discipline is followed must be kept in proper proportion, meaning that there is neither neglect nor over-enthusiasm. Everything is to be in moderation, and one should not become faddist. A very common tendency in some people, whatever they take up becomes a religion for them because there is something to know rather than to do. One should not become a faddist. Krishna is saying here, don't make anything your religion. No activity should be made as religion. A person who is not too inactive, Karmeshu Yukta Cheshta, one who is moderate in terms of what is eaten and who does not sleep too much or too little, one who looks after the body properly without becoming obsessive about it, usually enjoy the necessary health to enable him or her gain self-knowledge. So one should always properly, without becoming obsessive, किसी की चीज के प्रति बहुत ज्यादा न भागे, enjoys his health, enjoys his body, to gain self-knowledge. This is what is required. This is what Bhagavan is trying to explain, that this body and all the activities done through these bodies should be only for attaining self-knowledge. ये शरीर साधन है ज्ञान प्राप्त करने के लिए. इस शरीर का इस शरीर से अन्य क्रियाओं के प्रति बहुत ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण नहीं है. द ह्यूमन बॉडी Sharira was defined by Kalidas as the basic means, sadhana, for gaining moksha. Health being a basic requirement. Shariram adhyam khaleshu dharma sadavadhanam. Therefore, whatever one must do to maintain proper health, one does, which implies eating, sleeping, and exercising properly. In other words, one should not be neglected about these basic requirements. When will I gain this vision? When will I gain the vision? मुझे कब ज्ञान होगा, कब ये दृष्टि होगी? Two questions may now arise. What is to be gained by all this? And how long will it take? Living a life of discipline coupled with meditation and contemplation, when can it be said that person is accomplished? Sansara always asks this question of when. मुझे ज्ञान कब होगा? सर्वप्रथम प्रश्न जो है वो यही होता है. Therefore, they make a commitment. Naturally, they want to know if such a lengthy, seemingly arduous pursuit is really worth the time and trouble. But here we say, having gained yourself, you do not gain anything. Knowing which is the greatest freedom there is. All right. You may say this freedom that implies total self-acceptance and the vision that I am the whole seems to be very desirable. But when will I gain this vision? How long will it take? I want to do it quickly so that I can pick up the threads of my life and continue. Again we say this is life. There is no when or anything. There is just life. There is no life other than this. Everything subserves this. Whether you do one thing or the other, a pursuit like this does not go away from you. It is always right there with you. You have enough material with you to be with yourself. No matter whatever you are doing, there is a growing clarity about this knowledge which takes its own time. But it does not matter because it is pleasant all the way. Only when something is unpleasant does one come up with the question, how long do I have to do this? मुझे कितना समय लगेगा ज्ञान प्राप्त करने में? The pursuit of self-knowledge is not prison sentence. It is a pleasant all the way because it is Atma Vidya, knowledge of oneself, a knowledge that tells you how wonderful you are. No religion does this. Religion usually tells you how terrible you are and that you have to be saved. Whereas this knowledge tells you that you are already saved because there is no problem. Here the question of when does not arise. What must be addressed, however, is condition of the person who is this knowledge, as we shall see in the next verse. Verse number 18, Bhagavan says, the mind through knowledge sees the contemplator and the contemplated as Atma. Yada vinyatam chittam atmanevavatishtete nihispraha sarva kamebhyo yukta ityuchyate sada tatha. Yada, when vinayamat chittam, the mind has gained a certain composure, atmani eva, in the self alone, avatisthate, remains, tada, then sarva kamebhya, for all the objects of desire, nishpraha, one who is free from longing, yukta iti, as one who is accomplished. Uchyate, the person is said to be. When the mind has gained a certain composure and remains in the self alone, when one is free from longing for all the objects of desire, the person is said to be one who is accomplished. The word viniyate is defined by Shankara here as ekagrata, meaning the mind chitta has the capacity to remain single pointedly on the object of contemplation alone without getting distracted. In such a mind, both the object of contemplation and the meditator, the contemplator, becomes one and the same. There is no separation whatsoever between the two. The mind has gained certain mastery, a contemplative disposition. Composure by itself is in itself. Through the disciplines that have already been mentioned as qualification for gaining such a mind, and this mind abides in Atma alone. Tasmin Atmani iva avatisthate, which means that there is no separation between the mind and Atma. For the person discussed here, there is no Atma to be contemplated upon, because both the contemplator and the contemplated are Atma. Previously, there was as though contemplation, whereas now there is no necessity for as though contemplation, because the self remains in the self alone. The result of knowledge is freedom from binding desires. ज्ञान आजादी है, मुक्ति है वासनाओं से. How does this contemplator mind abides in Satchitananda Atma? How is it located there? Is it like two objects, one sitting upon the other? No. The mind abides in Atma purely in the form of knowledge, clarity. In other words, the meaning of word I is no more a matter of conjecture and mistaken notion for the person. जब ज्ञान होता है तब मैं ये शरीर, मैं ये एक पुरुष के रूप में नहीं रहता, मैं आत्मा परमात्मा हो जाता है. It is not something that one has to contemplate upon in order to understand it further. This capacity of the mind to remain in Atma is the meaning of the expression Atmani eva avatisthate. Having given upon all one's concern and anxiety about the various things that are external to oneself, the person is awake to Atma, meaning that mind is always remains or abides in Atma and therefore is never separated from Atma. The mind is always the Atma. Mind is the Atma and Atma is the Paramatma. There is no separation. There is no difference. There is freedom for one who has gained this clarity of knowledge of desire. One is nispraha sarva kambhaya. This freedom is not something that must be gained separately, but is naturally conditioned on having gained the knowledge itself. We have already seen that the word kama has two meanings: the desire itself and the object of desire. The thought process wherein you want to gain an object is called kama, and that which you desire is also called kama, because kama is used throughout the Gita in twofold senses. If we have to see the context in which it is used to understand its meaning, here it means object of desire. What are the objects of desire? They can be both drishta, seen, whatever you can accomplish now, and adrashta, unseen, something that is not seen by you, like punya, papa, is desirable to you because it brings you something desirable later. Punya is like currency. You cannot enjoy it in and itself, but it has a buying power. It can buy objects that you enjoy. Thus punya is an intermediary goal, achieving which you are qualifying yourself, empowering yourself to accomplish various ends such as comfort, situations, wealth, power, and so on. Because these ends are not seen now, they are adrashta. Kama then can be for either drishta or adrishta, that which the result of punya, which itself is adrashta. Suppose a man performs a particular fire ritual for the purpose of gaining something here in this world. The ritual itself does not produce the object, since what we want out of the ritual is not the fire. Rather, by performing the ritual, he gains certain grace of punya, which removes all obstacles to his effort to gain what he wants. This is what is called adrashta. Naturally, then there is a desire, kama, or for adrashta as well as drashta. The definition of an accomplished person. The person here discussed here is free from longing for all objects of desire, both drishta and adrishta. Nihisparshah sarva kamebhyah. The longing for objects, known and unknown, visible and invisible, has gone away. Therefore, the person is said to be one who is accomplished. Yukta iti uchyate, meaning that the person is contemplation has become successful. What does it mean to call someone as accomplished? Who can, being with oneself, cause all the longing to go away? The reason one longs for object is due to knowing oneself. Therefore, when this self-knowledge has been gained, when the mind abides in the self alone, the person is fulfilled and happy. One knows that Atma does not require any improvement, the one's security or perfection. Because there is no lack in Atma, the sense of Atma is not there for the person. The nature of Atma is Purna, full, the whole. There is nothing to improve it. Therefore, the person has no longing whatsoever. For a person who recognizes the nature, Swarupa of oneself, desires are born of fullness and not out of sense of lack. In fact, the desires of such a person are privileges, having a mind that has great capacity to desire. Whereas the Agyani, one who does not have knowledge of the self, there is sense of want centered on I. It is not that mind is lacking in something. For example, when you say the body lacks, the lack is centered for I, which you identify with the body. The body naturally has its limitation, and in that sense it can be said to lack. That the body lack is not a problem, that I lack is the problem. Born of the non-recognition of Swarupa, the nature of the I. All desires stem from this sense of lack centered on I alone. These are the desires that are binding in nature, because their fulfillment is the basis upon which I think I am going to discover some sense of security in myself, some kind of satisfaction for myself. This is why fulfilling my desires become my main purpose in life. But sooner or later I discover that desires have a knack of breeding like rabbits. I either give up and become a hobo or go crazy. The point here is that desires born of my senses are endless, and having discovered this, Having discovered this fact, my inquiry begins. Therefore, I ask, who am I? Am I really seeking something? Why am I seeking? Am I seeking other than myself, or am I seeking myself? In fact, I am seeking myself. The problem being that I have a sense of lack centered on myself, and I want to be free from this lack. This is all. This is all I want. If I am a person whose nature is stuck with the sense of lack, then I can neither get rid of it, but now never get rid of it. But now and then I see myself free from this sense of lack. Whenever I open my eyes and I see something so beautiful, that I also open my mouth and say, I find myself free from any sense of lack. There is a heaven inside me. Whenever I live, it is like all heaven. Because I have these two versions of myself, one with the sense of lack and one without it. A very validity arises in me. I begin to think that I am confused about myself. Perhaps my conclusions are wrong. This doubt marks the beginning of my inquiry. The person discussed in this verse has come to know the self by means of such inquiry, accompanied by whatever discipline those were necessary to prepare the mind so that the knowledge could take place. The mind of this person has no more doubts and is totally awake with reference to Atma. There is no guesswork or vagueness, and the person is naturally free from all longing and attachment. Further, Bhagwan says the oft quoted illustration to describe the mind of accomplishment person in verse number 19. This we will discuss and study tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Om. अभी भागवत कथा चलेगी भाई साहब,
चलेगी,
अभी शुरू होगी. अभी तो गीता पढ़ी है आपने.
अच्छा अच्छा,
ये तो इंग्लिश में थी, आप हिंदी में पढ़ेंगे यही चीज सारी की सारी. ये करेंगे देखो,
श्रीमद् भागवत गीता.